front of the house today. We finished plastering most of the interior rooms and we're now working on the interior side of the wall that faces the sun. So this is the northeast side of the home. This wall is going to dry out faster. So what we're doing is hanging up some tarps so that we can make sure that the sun does not hit this wall. That the plaster that we do on the inside, the opposite side, will not have the moisture pulled out of it because the water will come through this wall once you plaster the outside. Even better if you have something that's like a natural material, like a burlap. You're able to kind of retain that moisture and make sure that you don't get moisture that's pulled out of the plaster inside. Once we already have that tarp hanging, then we could actually do the outside as well. We can do the outside plaster, so this is kind of preparation for working on both sides. So we've already sprayed this wall a couple times, and this wall was put up in 2019 with the help of all of our neighbors, so 600 different people in our Junta de Ibarra. That means that it's very, very, very dry. So we've watered this more than what we would with a wall that was kind of recently put up. This was wet maybe 4 times a day, heavily, to prepare it. So it already has about 2 days of wetting. The inside wall has about 10 days of wetting, so that the plaster, once you put it on, won't just dry up and then flake off. So this is actually some of the rice that we've collected from our farm. I did not plant rice, but my workers told me that some of the granules of rice must have been stuck in the truck when we bought the penca, the leaves for our ranchos. And so because that rice kind of got sprinkled throughout based on the palm leaves, then we got a very, very small harvest of rice. We had rice growing in different pockets on the farm. So this is essentially our first little rice harvest. We have enough rice for maybe one lunch, but it's drying and hanging now so that we can store it and cook it, and we'll get our first homegrown batch of rice that was completely by accident. Show you guys this beautiful front part of the house that we finished. This is cal. This is pure lime plaster, limestone that's crushed and powdered, mixed with sand, and you get this beautiful, breathable plaster. I love all of the different textures that you can see, and it's holding up beautifully. When you put it on, it's pure white, but we're going to use the paint that I made, which is lime putty mixed with some clay and some water, and then you get this beautiful breathable paint as well. So all of these things, the natural walls, the natural lime plaster, the natural paint, helps to make sure that you're not sealing in your home so that you don't have moisture that gets trapped in there. You don't get mold that gets trapped in there. It allows that wall to breathe, and it allows that wall to regulate temperature naturally, just like it should. So you don't get a house that's really hot or really cold. It just stays kind of temperate and comfortable all the time. It kind of looks like it's blue right now, but it's just the reflection from this blue tarp that we have hanging. And you can see that there is no cracks. It looks like a solid stone wall. It's because we made sure this wall was protected. Protecting it from the wind, we're protecting it from the sun so that it can cure slowly. And then we're adding water to it twice a day so that the water can help to slow the cure process so that you get a very strong wall. And you want to use the lime that's a little bit grittier. We use something that's called NHL 3.5, so that's kind of the medium grit. That's good for a first layer. And then when you want to go to add your lime-based paint, then you can use something that's a little bit finer and softer, which is the NHL 2. I love when I find this. I just found another piece of bejuco, which is the tree vines that were used to actually tie up the bamboo in the original, the main part of the house. So this we actually got 3.5 years ago. And sometimes you just find a piece floating around. It comes out of the dirt, and you could see all these beautiful fibers. So these are natural tree fibers in this bejuco. This bejuco was found in the river about a half hour away from here, near Guarare. Guarare is the town. And you can see that all these fibers help to give it strength. It's super strong. It's incredibly strong. It's like a rope. This is the stuff that they use traditionally to tie the cañasa, to tie the bamboo. Today they use plastic. They use the plastic hilo, which also lasts a long time. So not a bad thing to use since it'll be there for as long as the house stands, and then you'll be able to reuse it as well afterwards. But this is how they did it in the past, and so this is how we tried to do most of the house. We tried to do most of the house with this. It's a little bit difficult to source, it's a little bit difficult to access. I was super excited to be able to use this traditional rope in building the main part of the house. Started working on the walls that are not underneath the porch that goes around the front side and the one side of the house. So with these walls, it's very important, since they are natural, for the Tadilac, the lime plaster with the soap to be really thoroughly done. So we've applied even more layers. We've applied like 3 layers of the black olive oil soap. I'm going to move in very small circles so that I can really get every single part of the wall, and that will help to make it waterproof. These walls were done with the sponge method, where we're spreading out the clay and lime putty mix with the sponge. It gives it texture. It's a little bit rough to touch. Still feels nice and earthy, but we're going to do something that's smoother. We're going to use the Tadilac on the outside as well. This takes a significant amount of time. Don't recommend it unless you really want to do it. It will make the walls more water resistant to any kind of blowing rain or water that would come in from the front porch. The side that we haven't yet done the smooth plaster over, this is the old part where it's got a sandier texture. It's a little bit grittier, so we're going to do this application over here once we move the tarps over, and we can have that protected from the sun so it doesn't dry out too quickly. But you can see here the color change in this spot where I've burnished. I've done the soap through this whole wall, so now I'm just going through and burnishing, and you can see how the color deepens a little bit and it gets really shiny as well. So I'm going to do that through the whole wall.